The next part of our today's Sunday Fish program is Sunday Fish class. Today, Sunday Fish class is going to given by a special personality. His Grace Kirtan. Everybody know who is Kirtan, but just I am introducing whoever not knowing him. Kirtan is a youth member of our congregation. He is a devotee since his birth. He is practicing his Krishna consciousness, and he also helps Satyasara Prabhu in preaching at UT Austin. And is on the all above. He is wonderful Kirtanir. We all know that. So with that, we will welcome Kirtan by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Kirtan, over to you.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnanjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. He Krishnaya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Ramayam Tulapitvaram Eham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Gurum Sagrajatam Sahanaraitam Shri Vishakam Nitanyadevam Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we'll talk about one of my favorite verses, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 14. And the theme is consistent Kirtan and how to apply it in your life. So we'll start off with today's objectives. We'll understand what the verse means first. Then we'll go through what does it mean to always chant, what does that look like practically in our lives, and then what is the application? So how can we use this, what I've seen and what I've learned from my teachers and mentors. And finally, we'll end with a few personal examples. If one of you want to read the verse? Just the verse. We'll read it all together once. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dhridavrita namastantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. One more time. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dhridavrita yadvastantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Translation. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So I'll give a bit of a context to this verse, what Srila Prabhupada has talked about in the past few purports and what he's talking about in this purport is giving the characteristics and describing who and what is a Mahatma. So one important thing to note is that Srila Prabhupada describes a Mahatma from a perspective of he himself is a Mahatma, but he's taking the humility and giving us the example and giving us the opportunity to learn from him. So when we study these great souls, great Mahatmas, it's important to understand that what they're teaching is as a service to us. They have no obligation, but they're giving it to us because of their kindness. So this knowledge that Srila Prabhupada has shared with us is not only very rare, but it's also a great gift. So we have to understand and appreciate what he's been saying. So the key characteristics of a Mahatma is his unwavering devotion to Lord Krishna. So what this means is that no matter what events someone is going through, good or bad, he is dhira, or he maintains a constant state of always remembering and chanting and glorifying Lord Krishna. So this may seem easy in good times, or sometimes it's easy in bad times, but it's important to remember that whatever the situation is, it's a gift from Krishna, so we have to appreciate that in that way. Another characteristic is dedicated service. So an important background to this characteristic is a Mahatma always worships Krishna in his personal form. So that's one thing that Prabhupada makes very apparent, that a Mahatma is someone that sees Krishna as an actual being instead of just like a light or an effulgence. So what this can mean is that every time we hear his names, we chant his names, we're remembering that there's actually someone listening. It's not just a practice, or it's not just some sort of meditation kind of thing. Of course, its application can be used in that way, but the end goal is always to please Krishna. The final characteristic is a firm resolve. So much similar to the last two, the theme of a Mahatma is someone that's always depending on Krishna. And the firm resolve characterizes someone that has a determined goal. So this shows that even in material life, goal setting is important, but in spiritual life, it makes it the difference between someone who's able to consistently reach their spiritual objectives versus drop off or stop at some point. So now we'll talk about the qualities of a Mahatma in a little deeper understanding. Again, we're talking about Mahatmas because we want to know what it is to be a Mahatma, how we can achieve that goal, and at the end of the day, how we can apply what they do daily in our lives. At least I'm speaking for myself. I'm nowhere close to being a Mahatma. So just being able to take small pieces of what they do in their practice is beneficial for me. So the first quality, as we reiterate, is they're engaged in the chanting of the glories of Krishna. So this is a simple one. I think everyone here was here for the Kirtan earlier. So just chanting his names and understanding what the mantras mean is the first step. So that's a very easy goal. So sometimes instead of saying "ow," you say Hare Krishna. That's working towards that goal. So that's an easier application. The second one is someone who's completely attached to Krishna. So I wanted to make this class a little more interactive. So I'll ask you, what do you think the difference between being partially attached to Krishna versus being completely attached to Krishna means? Does anyone want to give an answer? Come on, for me.
Completely attached means, without 1 second, if I'm not thinking about Krishna, then I will be really in distress mode. That's a completely attachment. That's a Mahatma.
Good. Yeah. Go ahead. Very true. Yeah. Go ahead.
When we are doing services, while doing services, we think about Krishna, past and that way.
Very nice. Yeah. Correct. Keshav?
You can see when we're partially attached to other things, that when something more important comes up, that we're very able to adjust around that, to adapt to it. Well, I'll do it later because I'm only partially attached to it.
Very true.
By understanding that, then we can see that we're completely attached to Krishna. Then he's our highest priority. We adjust everything else to make sure that we're all that.
Very true. Yes. Good job. So here we can see that when we think of completely attached, it means that, as Kamalan Prabhu said, if we forget Krishna, we should be in distress. I don't know for anyone else, but for me that's very impractical. Maybe at the end of the day I'll think, oh, why didn't I think of Krishna at that point? Or after something happens that I want, I'm like, oh, that's Krishna's mercy. But it's very hard for me to think without hindsight to dedicate what's happening to Krishna. So how we can apply this is understand the ultimate goal of all our duties. So this means if we know that our goal as a student, as an employee, as a CEO, whatever our goal is, if we know that the end goal of that is to serve Krishna, then slowly it'll trickle backwards and it'll make our application service to Krishna as well. So the important distinction is because we're not able to always actively keep Krishna at the front of our mind, if we keep Krishna at the end of our goals, then it'll trickle backwards and our small goals will work towards that. So the final quality is rejecting falsehood and embracing the truth. So this is a little bit of hard to understand, at least for me, because what is rejecting falsehood? Because don't we live in the material world? Isn't everything false? So should we reject everything? So there's people that believe that rejecting everything is the proper way to live your life, but as Srila Gurudev Sankarshan Maharaj says, if you reject everything at one point, you have to reject rejection itself. So then you can't reject anything at all. So what it means to reject falsehood is again to understand what the final goal of each of your activities are. So learning what are the constant truths. So in geometry, there's hated math, but geometry, we learn proofs for things. So learning what the proof is for our life, the proofs are what makes sense in our life, is what keeps us grounded and keeps us consistently practicing the right things. So for example, chanting is a proof in our life, the 4 regulative principles, association, prasadam, these are things that we cannot compromise on. And then in the rest of our areas, we're able to make up for what we're lacking. So this is actually, Keshav showed me this amazing verse, but we can read it out loud. You want to read it?
There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantra and observing the regulative principles, and moreover there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and care of an area. But when your lordship solely means chanting, everything becomes faultless.
So this verse is pretty self-explanatory in what it means. It's showing that there's many things that don't align perfectly. So like, sometimes when there was an eclipse, or there's, you're just sitting in the shower or you're sitting in traffic, people may not believe that's the proper time and place to chant the mantra, but it's the other way around. It's the mantra that qualifies the time and the place, not the time and the place that qualifies the mantra. So whenever you're chanting the holy names, that's the right time to be chanting the holy names. So I think Krishna makes it very simple that as long as you're doing the right thing, it's the right time. So we can take a short break here again to open up a little bit of discussion. At least personally, I feel that sometimes that, okay, this is not the right time to do things materially. So for example, like if someone senior to me is talking, I wouldn't interrupt them. So materially, that's the right thing. But in Krishna consciousness, there's no wrong time to chant the mantra. So if, does anyone have any examples in their personal life where they add the mantra and like waiting in traffic or singing in the shower, things like that? Any personal examples, it'd be nice to hear. I'm gonna pick people anyway, so if you're gonna either raise your hand or I'm gonna pick you.
I do sometimes when I get angry, so I chant mantra.
Very nice, very good, yeah, very good.
So yeah, I do, because my work job is like early morning, I wake up and go early, and I come usually late, so I do before sleeping.
Very good, very good activation. Very good, yeah.
And while in traffic, for sure.
Yeah, I think, yeah, of course, definitely, yeah. Mataji's? Go ahead, Mataji. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, just go. Very nice. Jesu brother Mataji? In traffic? Okay. Very nice. Very nice. So here we can see that even in our daily lives, it's easy to find a place to chant the Mahamantra. So what is the difference between us and a Mahatma is something that, you can think of. Because sometimes people are like, oh, I'm always thinking of Krishna. Like many times I hear, maybe they are, but at least personally, if I think that many times, oh, I'm always thinking of Krishna, it's very easy to find holes in that statement. So thinking of Krishna in the material world is hard to quantify because we need things like video cameras and recorders to even remember things from earlier in the day. So if we think that we're always thinking of Krishna, I guarantee there's times that we're not. So a way to combat this is to understand that as long as we align our duties with Krishna, then it doesn't matter if we're actively thinking or not. Because if we get indulged in those duties, then we're serving Krishna in that way. So one of the important things that Srila Prabhupada mentions in his purport is that we have to focus on the personal form of Krishna. So this is different than the impersonal form in the way that we relate to Krishna as a real person, as a way to connect with him. And this is important because if we kind of think of Krishna just as a power, we might not be able to understand that this is someone that I can have a relationship with. I know this seems like very obvious things, but the thing is when Prabhupada states something so many times, we have to understand why is he making such a big point about this? There's so many more nuances and kind of small things we can talk about, but understanding this basic principle of what it means to be a Mahatma and how to find someone to follow is very important in this situation. So now we'll look at one of the hardest things in the translation, which says we need to always chant. So I think that always chanting is difficult. At least I think I try to chant more than what I have the ability to, so should always strive to beat those goals, but I'm definitely far off from always chanting. So the way we understand the difference between always chanting and not always chanting is these 4 points that I curated from the past few verses. The first thing is to focus on Krishna. So many times, again, there's many nuanceable and very small things we can talk about relating to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, which is very important. But it's really important also to understand the big picture of what we're talking about. So Prabhupada states, instead of going into philosophical loopholes, we need to recognize Krishna's supremacy and focus our life towards serving him. So it's important to understand that the big picture is important and the small picture is important as well. The second point is to embrace the simplicity of Kirtan. So this means that Kirtan doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be elaborate, but it should be regular and it should be important in your life. So this means that Kirtan is the priority and how you do it is the secondary. So you're guaranteed to do Kirtan. Maybe you do once a week that you're guaranteed to do Kirtan. And maybe your friends don't show up or no one show up. You still need to make Kirtan the priority, not the time and place of what you're doing. So this means you always chanting is regularly chanting. Then the third point is motivation matters, but determination is mandatory. So what this means is it's easy to be motivated and it's easy to not be motivated, but it's difficult to be determined, and determination is what makes a person even in the material world. So the way to understand this is that there has to be small wins in every one of your goals or every one of your days. And what that means, for example, materially, if you like going to the gym, that means you want to hit your 10 push-ups every day no matter what. Those are small wins. It might not make a difference in a month of doing 10 push-ups, but it's still, it's what keeps you in that loop. So in the same way, if we have small ways to remember Krishna in everything, like Krishna says, I'm the taste of water. So every time we drink water, if we remember Krishna, that's a small win. So having small wins in your day-to-day activities is really pushes you forward as a person. Then finally is to be a beacon. So as Satsar Prabhu encouraged me to give this class, I felt that I was very unqualified, which I am unqualified. But because I'm sharing these teachings by Srila Prabhupada, it forces me to dive deeper into his purports and what he's teaching. So in the same way, you may feel that you're not qualified to do something, but if you focus on building that foundation, in turn, helping other people will help you as well. So this doesn't mean go around pushing your ideas on someone. This means going around and understanding what Prabhupada means and preaching that properly. So this was interesting. I understood that true greatness is from selfless devotion to Krishna. And pure devotion or service is joyful, attainable, and transformative. So I'll open up the floor again. What does it mean for devotional service to be joyful, attainable, and transformative to you? Prabhu?
Devotional means, you are just like we have already discussed in the previous point, how much you are attached to Krishna. That determines your level of devotion. And then, what was the next point?
So I want to know what service or what is joyful, attainable, and transformative for you in your life. So for example, for me, I feel Kirtan is very joyful. It's attainable, I'm able to do it often, and it's transformative because I learn something new every time. So
Krishna in the center. For example, if you're cooking and you're immersed in cooking and just thinking that you are going to offer this food to Krishna, you will put all your effort, with all your heart, your infinite. So that is devotion. It's going to purify your consciousness. At the same time, you are more attached. So the more you are keeping Krishna in the center of all the activity, you become more devotional. That's what it is.
very nice, Prabhu.
You want to experience instant expression of happiness or chanting of stuff. You can experience psychology.
Correct. Very nice. Very nice, yeah.
Every time we read chapters of Bhagavad Gita, we tend to realize little bit different, little bit more insightful meaning, and the context in which we read, at the times that we read, makes a lot of difference on our depth of understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. And that's a very joyful experience.
Very true. What you brought up a very good point is the times that we're reading and what time we're doing things. And Srila Prabhupada mentions it's important, the time we're doing things is important, but that we're doing them is more important than the time and place. So doing the chanting or doing the kirtan should not be prioritized under the time. So suppose you're like, oh, it's the middle of the night, it's not auspicious to do kirtan. There's nothing like that. Kirtan signifies the time. If you do kirtan, it makes the time auspicious. Or if you read Prabhupada's books, it makes the time auspicious. Very nice point, Prabhu. Thank you. Matajis? Yeah, go ahead.
When we are going to start with happiness.
Happiness?
It's not like our sexual, like relative joy. And for normally, it will mean that we feel actually the presence of Krishna. It's not just everything that we say, but that was the
Very nice. Perfect, Mataji. I think you're the only person that hit all three of my objectives. Very good, Mataji. Anyone else? Last going? Okay. So finally, the path to becoming a Mahatma is open to everyone. Being regular and consistent is the always of this yuga. So what that means is that some people might run a marathon once and never run again, or they run until they can and never run again. But the person who walks every single day is going to get further than that person. So what that means is being regular and consistent is what always means for this yuga. Because it's not practical to want to chant consistent. If you can, then go for it. If you can chant 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I mean, you're a greater person than I am. But it's very hard for us to do that in this yuga. So being regular and consistent are the two things that are absolute of this yuga. So now we'll look at some application. I covered this a little earlier, but Krishna says, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound of ether and the ability in man. So my favorite part of this application is understanding that Krishna is the ability in man. So what this means is, first of all, we need to understand that our goals are achievable because Krishna gives us that ability. And the second thing is we need to set big goals because Krishna is giving that ability. So this may seem a little counterintuitive, but we need to focus on understanding that the ability will be given to us once we set the goal. So if you decide that, okay, I'm going to start chanting 64 rounds, you have to just start. I mean, I can't speak from experience because I don't chant 64 rounds. But just that idea is what makes a difference. In my personal life, this is something my parents told me is when I was scared of chanting 16 rounds, I was just chanting 4 or 8. The difference, my mother specifically said, is that just start chanting and the time will make itself happen. So I thought that was helpful. Actually, what happened is my classes got moved and I had an extra hour and a half between my classes that I literally couldn't do anything else. So every day, that's where I find time to chant. And I think if you make the effort, Krishna will give you 10 times the effort back. So that's the first and most important thing. The second thing, and the second reason that many people not fail, but many people stop practicing Krishna consciousness is they want to be either one or the other. So they think of themselves as having one glass of water and they have to pour a little in the material or pour a little in the spiritual. But what we have to understand is that both have to be together. We can't divide those two as separate things. But balance isn't a thing. You cannot be balanced. It has to be one whole. So the way to do that is to, instead of artificially rejecting material things, so for example, if you have friends at office or friends at school, instead of saying, no, I don't want to talk to you because you're not a devotee or something like that, you can talk to them and you can slowly show them by example or show them by influence what it means to be a happy person or what it means to be a devotee. And in this way, not only are you keeping up your duties in the material world, but you're also moving forward in your spirituality. So this, as I mentioned, maybe speaking to your coworkers, for example, or it might be, you know, for the office party, you do Kirtan. You say, hey, I'm going to play music with my friends. So things like this is what moves you forward slowly and kind of keeps you on the correct track, because moving forward is the goal. Big goals take small steps. So I think that's important. Then finally, we have to remember that if it's simple, it's probably right. The biggest issue that people have is they want some sort of big secret thing that's going to change everything, and that's the secret they're keeping from everyone. But Prabhupada says this Mahamantra is for everyone, and it's simple. All you have to do is chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So our biggest mistake in the material world is trying to complicate things that are very simple. So this appears in many different ways in your life, and I'll again open it up for a little bit of discussion. I want to see what you do in your daily life, or what you want to learn how to do in your daily life to remember Krishna or try to be a Mahatma more often. Anyone? I'm gonna. Let's go ahead.
Fantastic trouble just to remember that whenever you're thinking the soham of Sukam prayer, and then immediately you are drinking water all the time.
Yes, definitely.
Taste of water is Krishna, and you are saying sun and moon. Say, God is saying that these are my two eyes. Always remember. And whenever you say, I mean, open sky is the syllable of Om.
Definitely, yeah.
So, I mean, this all gives hope, like God is there and you always remember in one way or another.
Very true. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Interesting that Krishna also says in Purushottam Chapter, Aham Vaishvana Bhuta
Praninam Sahitam Ashrita Prana Samayukta. Very true. Yes.
I am the fire that digest everything because you. I am the incoming and exhaling breath.
Yes.
That every movement, if you want to realize, you can realize every movement, every breath, you realize.
Correct. Thank you, Prabhu. So here there are two very wonderful examples of how to always remember Krishna. And we talked about, if we can't always remember Krishna, how to set goals that will help us remember Krishna in the end. So now we can switch to a little more real-world examples. Satsar Prabhu asked me to share from my personal experience how I've seen this and how I've utilized this verse in my life. All my mistakes are because of me, and everything I do right is thanks to my mentors and my gurus. So I want you to know, if you see something positive, it's because of Srila Prabhupada and because of Guru Maharaj and because of Satsar Prabhu. And we need to understand that having these mentors in our lives and having these goals in our lives is what makes our lives easy, makes it applicable and makes it useful. So one interesting story, maybe many of you know, I lived in Japan for more than a year, and the hardest thing for me in Japan was finding prasadam. So I love cooking, I really love cooking. I would make sabji from vegetables that I don't even know the name of. I'd just be like, is this onion or garlic? No? Okay, so I can make some sabji with it. So I would make like dal with some random Japanese radish, and it was getting a little bit concoction-y, so I never had the ability like to invite everyone over because I didn't know if I would cook properly. But one day after school, one of my friends asked, hey, like, can we all come over and can we eat with you? So I guess so one important thing in Japan is that the relation between people takes 5 times of meeting to turn into a friendly circumstance. So the first time you meet someone, you refer to them as san or sama, which is like saying Prabhu. Then the second time you meet someone, you can start using their last name and san. The third time you meet someone, you can start saying their last name, and then the fourth time you can say their first name, and the fifth time you can address them as you. So this is hard for me because first I don't remember how many times I'm meeting someone, and this second time I don't know, have I met this person before? So it's very difficult. So I like, how I combated this was like in the first few weeks, like I just wouldn't talk to people, like I was scared. And I would just talk to 5 people. I'd pick 5 people and be like, okay, I'm gonna just talk to these people like a few times. Then I learned like, okay, this only is a thing in corporate culture, like it's very specific for those, but for friendly relations, like my friends in college and the friends on my team, it was okay. Like it was okay to call them by their last name and their first name. So anyway, so these friends, I told them, sure, come over, but I have a lot of, I don't eat meat, I don't eat onion, garlic, and fish, and they were very like, how do you survive? So I said, okay, I'll cook for you. So then this was my second month in Japan, so my Japanese was still shaky, and these guys do not speak English, and I invited them over, 3 guys, and we all sat, and I made like, so the menu was pizza because they wanted American food, so I made pizza, and I didn't have an oven, so that's a different story, how I made pizza without an oven. Then I made dal rice because they want to try Indian food, and then I made like a fake concoction of Manchurian. It was like just some random Japanese cabbage and Japanese cauliflower, but everyone came over and they enjoyed the food, and they're like, wow, like there's no meat, there's no fish, how can you make something like this? Anyway, that discussion happened, and then my mridanga was in the corner. So if you know anything about Japan, is people are quiet. Like people do not want you to make noise, and people don't want you to do like big things. And because I wanted to live alone, I didn't want a roommate. I had an apartment with, it was a small apartment, like a studio apartment, but I had like neighbors next to me, but of course different units. So then my friends, they're like, what is that? Like they're like, what is that? And then like I first of all, I don't even know, like I barely speak Japanese at this point, and they're asking me to describe something that it would be hard for me to describe to someone who speaks English. Like this is a clay drum from India, from Bengal, and it was inaugurated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all these things. I was thinking like, how can I explain this? So then I realized, okay, so there's similar drums in Japan, like the Buddhist monks use. So I just said, oh, tadaima, this is like a Japanese drum, but from India. So I guess my translation, something was off, and they're like, where's the sticks? Where's the sticks? Like, where do you beat the drum with the sticks? It's like, no, use your hands. Like, then they were like, wow, like we want to hear. So now I'm like, gonna play mridanga in an apartment where, like if I play my music too loud, like my neighbor comes over and they start knocking and they're like, please be quiet. So I was like, okay, anyway, like there's 5 guys, like what can happen? So we all sit down and I play some mridanga for them and then play some tihais or whatever. And they're like amazed, and they're like, this sounds so good, like where do you use it? So then I said, oh, like Harinam, Sankirtan. They're like, what's that? So then I was like, okay, like I guess now I have to sing for them. So I did like a short, like 2-minute kirtan, and it was like, they were like laughing, and they were like, this is amazing, like I want to come to the temple, and this is amazing. So they had so much fun. And in that way, I was able to connect with them on a very relatable level of music and food. And I was able to, no fruit. And it made something that was so distant, which is Krishna consciousness, so accessible to someone that is never heard of it before. So I mean, the happy ending of this story is that I took them to the temple the following Sunday, and there's a Govindas in Japan. And if you've never had sushi, you have to go to Japanese Govindas and have amazing prasadam there. It's world class. And after the Sunday temple program, one of the Prabhus there, whose name is Mahatma Prabhu, which is funny, started talking to them and explained to them, he's a Japanese body, so he speaks Japanese fluently, and he was telling them how Krishna consciousness is very accessible to people like them. So the final part of this story is something that I took away, is that Japanese people, one thing I really appreciate about them is that their word is the end-all be-all. So when Vaisheshik Prabhu visited me in Japan and visited Japan, one thing he was saying is, if you tell a Japanese person on the street to come to the temple, they'll be there. So one thing we can take away from that is, in this material world, there's many things that are failing, but truthfulness is what keeps us dignified, which keeps us our humanity. So making sure we keep our word when we, especially to devotees and especially when we're talking about Krishna consciousness, is very important. So anyway, getting back to the story, one thing I learned that was really important is that if we let Krishna take the reins in our relationships, it'll make it go so much further than if we just try to control it. I'll be honest, when I first talked to them, I was kind of like awkward, like how am I gonna tell these people what the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is? Like, they don't even know me outside of school yet, and I'm telling them like, quote unquote, the deepest, darkest secret about me, you know, like, so that's how I felt. But if I just exposed everything, I showed my heart to them, and Krishna was able to guide them to accepting what I had to say. So I think that's one important thing in this situation. So I wanted to kind of open up the floor to any questions. If you want to ask questions about the story, you can ask as well, but let's try to stay as much on topic as possible, please. This is for my benefit and for yours. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sure, go ahead.
Our chanting has to be very attentive, right? Then only we can see the benefits, or we will feel that experience, right? So I want to know that. And the other thing is, I don't know, somewhere I have read, like if we are not doing the attentive chanting, then then it's a sin, something I have heard. So am I right in that perspective?
Very true. So for these questions, I'll give you an answer, and I'll ask Jesubhadra Mataji and Satsar Prabhu to also help as well. The first part of your question is, how do we improve our chanting? The first thing is consistency. That's the very common answer. It's like anything else. As long as we have a consistent goal and consistent results, then that's the first way to improve our chanting. That's a more simple answer. A little bit deeper answer is to tie it into your daily life. So this can either mean having a same time that you chant every day, or having some sort of, like, some people don't eat prasadam until they finish their rounds. I personally would die if I did that, so I tie it to different things in my life, but I think that having things that are more applicable is a very good way to improve your chanting. The second thing is, for the offenses, Jesubhadra Mataji, can you shed some light? No, okay. Okay, so I'll give my experience, and then I'll ask Keshav to help me a little more. So the 10 offenses are very real. It's very real to chanting inattentively. All these things are very real. But the worst is not chanting. So as long as you're continuing chanting and you're understanding that these are potential faults in yourself, and you're working actively to fix it, there is no issue with it. So consistently chanting is the most important thing. But you know, like, do you play any sports? No? Okay, so I'll tell, it's hard. I love sports, so it's hard for me. But let's say running, for example. Like, you start by taking steps, right? Like, you don't say like, oh, I'm not keeping my chest up when I'm running, so I'm gonna stop walking. So that would be like kind of dumb. But, or like, my feet are not going in the right direction, I'm pronating too much, so I'm gonna stop walking. That's not true. So you just keep walking, and eventually you'll get to running, and then you can fine tune. Oh, I need to keep my arms up, I need to keep my shoulders open, things like that. So the same way in Krishna consciousness, that's how you can improve. Of course, definitely, yeah. Definitely, yes. Very true, yeah. Yes. As long as you're understanding that this is my mind going somewhere else, you're on the right path. Keshav, you want to add something?
The biggest point that you made across the entire class that I appreciate is the transformative power of just being in Kirtan, being connected to Krishna somehow or the other. I think that even connects to the verse that was there earlier, Shuddhanti Jasmai Prabha Vishnave Namaha.
Yes.
That Krishna's the supreme energy, the supreme power, because simply by coming in contact with him, not only do people become transformed, but in that verse, even the devotees of the Lord, those who have become transformed, can share that transformative power. And so, if you are wanting to, if you have a fire, and you, this is a strange example, but if you want to get burnt, then you just like put your finger in for a second, you're like, oh, I didn't get burnt. It's a matter of connection. How much are you going to be able to get heat if you don't stay near the fire?
Very true, yeah.
And so some of that comes in terms of like what you said. And one thing that helped me always is having at least some amount of theoretical understanding that I can bring to my chanting every day. In relation to that, Rupa Goswami usually, he says in Upanishamrita, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadisi Tapya Vidya, Pittopatapta Rasanasya Narojikanu, that we should understand that the name of Krishna is sweet like sugar candy. And I would think that, and I was like, but I don't
think
feel
it's sweet.
Right?
We have
But he continues, and that was the one thing that really stood out to me, that this is the first time I'm hearing in Shastra that, yes, it's sweet, but, he continues, because we're in the jaundiced condition of avidya, of ignorance, somebody who has jaundice will taste sugar candy as being bitter. And yet, in that time, what's the cure for jaundice? Continuing to take sugar candy. Kintvarad anudinam kalushayvajishta, svadri kramad bhavati tad galumudahantri. However, it is amazing that simply by engaging with the holy name, anudinam, Srila Prabhupada translates it two ways, as carefully and regularly every day. By engaging with this, then the disease is destroyed at its root, and that awakens. So in that sense, keep that consciousness there as you're engaging. First of all, that, okay, I want to get heat, so I need to have some sort of engagement with fire. And also, I should recognize that even if I'm not feeling transformed, by remaining in touch with this process is transformative, as you put it.
Perfect, yeah. I think that summarizes everything perfectly. I'll give one more point. The final thing to remember is that as long as you keep it simple, it's attainable. So even materially, as long as your goals are something you can actualize, like suppose if you say, I want to chant more, like that's a very hard to attain goal. I mean, you'll think, oh, but I am chanting more. I mean, you can attain that. But if you say, I want to chant one more round every day, that's something attainable, something you can reach. So I think that's the perfect way. Thank you. It's a wonderful question for you. Yeah. Any questions? Any other questions?
Share some of more of your personal life.
Personal story?
One thing that you shared is a real inspiration. How to make people of different culture who know nothing about it in a very simple way to give them a taste basically of Krishna. So that's something we have to
Some story? Okay.
really figure something.
Okay, so I have one more story. I will end this class with this story. I think I'm already 3 minutes over. While I was in Japan, I also traveled to Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Thailand. And one thing I did not know about Indonesia is the strong presence of Lord Ram. Lord Ram is very big in their culture, and it's the way that it's depicted might be a little different than what we see, but it's very powerful and it's very apparent in all of their scriptures and even in their like in their royal government and everything like that. So one day, another thing, if you haven't guessed already, prasadam is important for me. It's like the first thing I decide, so I land in Indonesia. Everyone from my school and my team they're going to the hotels. but I'm focused on where am I gonna eat for the next week. I need to know if there's some grocery stores I can go to, etc. So of course I go to the ISKCON temple. That's an easy answer. And I asked the Prabhu where can I find prasadam? If I want to eat fruits or if I want to eat something cooked, where can I find prasadam? So he tells me, oh, there's an old man outside, just tell him that Sri Ram Das, that's his name, sent you, and he'll take you to find prasadam. So I was like, okay, I'll go outside and I'll find an old man and I'll tell him Sri Ram Das sent me. And so I was like, okay, I attended the program, everything was fine. It's Monday morning now, I got out of my hotel, I come to where the temple is. In front of it, there was an old man, and I told him, he doesn't speak very amazing English, of course, better than my Indonesian. So I asked him, Sri Ram Das sent me to get prasadam from you. So he takes me and we go to a local market, and he shows me some where I can buy some rice and get some sort of food that's that's palatable for us, and it was delicious. I mean, the fruits are exotic and amazing. And I take the prasadam and I go to my hotel, I offer and eat, and everything is fine. And they have kirtans every Monday evening. So I go there and I go to the kirtan and I played mridanga. We had amazing kirtan and had a good connection with the people, which was very important. Everybody, even though there was a language barrier, I was able to connect with them properly. So then again, I meet the pujari, Sri Ram Das, and I meet him, and he says, I never I told you to go see the old man. He said you never came. So I was like, what? I went outside and I told the old man, and he took me and I got food. And he said, really, what old man? So we went outside and I pointed at this man right here. And he's like, this is a random old man. So then I went to him, and the Prabhu said, where did you take him? And he said Sri Ram sent him, so I took him to get food. So then one thing, I was like, wow, his faith was so much, he just believed that I told him that Ram sent me, and he was like, okay, I'll just take him. So I felt that was a very connection. I felt very happy. And of course, I was very humbled in that time. I was thinking, if somebody came to me and said, Krishna sent me, take me to get prasad, I'd be like, what are you, just get out of here, stop speaking nonsense. So I think that having humility in our practice and understanding that whatever situation we're in, there is always a bigger plan. So if we do our duties and do our part, Krishna will provide the rest. Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions, Prabhu?
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah. Any questions?
Do it. If you have any other question, comment, who are on online, can raise your hand.
Do more frequent classes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Kirtan Prabhu. That's a wonderful class and wonderful realization sharing and touching on all practical elements of practicing continuous bhakti and kirtan. Wonderful class. As Prabhu said, we'll wish to hear from you more and more classes. Thank you. Hare
Sure,
Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
So, thank you everyone for this opportunity. This is more for my spiritual growth than for you. I'm being selfish in the way that I'm stealing your ears for that ability, but thank you so much for this opportunity. Everything that I've said properly is due to the teachings of my parents and my spiritual masters and my mentors, and all the mistakes I've made are my own. So please tell me if you have any corrections. I humbly ask you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Okay, devotees, we are moving on to the next part of our program is Arati.
I appreciate it. Shishi Gornitai ki, Shishi Radha Damodar ki. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya
Saya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine
Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha
Sunyavadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, your turn.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hare Rama, Naya Naya, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody, your turn. Sing with your hearts. Hare Krishna, Om Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Everybody, your turn, your turn, your turn. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone, Hare Krishna. Keep it going. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Everyone, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. One more time. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha, Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Haraya Nama Krishna Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha, Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Gaura, 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 Hare, Gaura, Gaura, Gaura. Jaya, Jaya, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya, Jaya, Prabhupada, Jaya, Jaya, Prabhupada. गो प्रेमानंदे।
जय नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिस डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की नवद्वीप धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की अयोध्या धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की संकीर्तन यज्ञ की बृहद मृदंग बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन प्रोग्राम की समवेत भक्त वृंद की गौर प्रेमानंदे। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरांग। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लादलाददायिने प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्यकाशिपूर्वक्षः हिरण्यकाशिपूर्वक्षः शीलाटङ्कानकालये शीलाटङ्कानकालये इतो नृसिंह पदतो नृसिंह इतो नृसिंह पदतो नृसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंह बाह्ये नृसिंह हृदये नृसिंह बाह्ये नृसिंह हृदये नृसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव कर कमलवरे नखाम अद्भुत शृंगाम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपुर तनुभृंगाम केशवधीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय नृसिंहदेव 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 जय नृसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद श्री भक्ति विघ्नविनाश नक्षत्र भगवान की भक्त श्रवणी प्रहलाद महाराज की श्री प्रभुपाद की निताय गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।